If you're an electromechanical contractor in India, you already know how complex compliance can be on a big project, a factory, a data center, you name it. But the second that project creates waste scrap metal, old wiring, discarded panels, you've just walked into a completely new legal minefield. We had a listener reach out who needed a map, basically, a clear guide through the regulations for scrap from these very specific electromechanical jobs.
And that's exactly what we're here to do. This isn't just about, general construction debris. We're diving into the specialized stuff, the electrical scrap. So that means we have to look at the main rules, the Construction and Demolition or C&D waste management rules from 2016, and then connect those directly to the rules for things like wires and panels, which fall under the e-waste management rules of 2022.
Right, and that intersection is so important because the penalties here are, well, they're serious. This all sits under a bigger legal framework, the Environment Protection Act of 1986, which is what gives these rules real teeth.
Absolutely. A violation can mean fines up to 1 lakh rupees, 5 years in prison, or even both. The philosophy here is what they call cradle to grave.
Meaning you, the generator, are on the hook for that piece of scrap from the moment it exists until it's properly and certifiably disposed of.
Exactly. And you have a whole network of authorities watching. The local bodies, the state pollution control boards, the central pollution control board, they're all part of the verification process.
Okay, so let's start there. Who, legally speaking, is the generator? Because on a huge site, you could have dozens of different contractors.
The definition is intentionally broad to catch everyone. It's the project owner, the main contractor, the developer. But, and this is key for our listener, it specifically includes the electromechanical service providers, the ones doing the actual installation and dismantling.
So if you create the waste, you own the liability. Simple as that.
Pretty much.
Now, there's a distinction I've seen that seems to change everything. If you're small, the rules are one thing, but if you're working on major infrastructure, you can become what's called a bulk generator.
Yes, and this is where the oversight really ramps up. The threshold is what's so interesting.
What is it?
It's based on quantity. If your site generates more than 20 tons of C&D waste in a single day, or over 300 tons in a month, you are officially a bulk generator.
300 tons a month. I mean, if you're wiring an entire factory, you'd hit that easily.
You almost certainly would. And the moment you do, your legal duties just escalate dramatically.
So if I know my project is going to be that big, the clock starts ticking way before the first piece of scrap is even generated.
Way before. Before you even start the work, you have to submit a comprehensive waste management plan to the local authority, and they have to approve it.
And I'm guessing this isn't just a simple checklist.
Oh, not at all. It's a detailed blueprint. It has to show how you'll segregate waste, where you'll store it, which authorized recycling tech you'll use.
Yeah.
It even needs to detail how you'll reuse some of it, like, say, proving that recycled metals will be used for non-structural parts of the build.
So beyond the plan, what are the daily rules? The things a site manager has to enforce every single day.
The basics are, common sense, but they're very strictly enforced. No littering, obviously. Don't obstruct traffic. And absolutely do not let scrap block any municipal drains.
And the big one, I imagine, is mixing waste.
That's the one. You cannot, under any circumstances, mix your C&D, scrap the metals, the plastics, with regular municipal solid waste.
So that common mistake of just throwing everything into one big dumpster is a major violation from day one.
A major one. You have to use authorized collectors and transporters, and you have to pay for it.
There are user charges.
Yes, the local authorities set them. It varies, but you might pay somewhere in the range of, say, 50 to 200 rupees per ton, depending on what it is. That's the cost of transferring the liability.
Okay, so let's move on to the site itself. The whole workflow seems to start with segregation. That's the first line of defense.
It's the foundation of the whole system. The C&D rules lay out 4 mandatory streams you have to separate waste into. You've got concrete and masonry in one pile, soil and earth in another, and then bricks and mortar.
The heavy mineral stuff.
Right. But the 4th stream is the one that's crucial for electromechanical work. It's the combined bucket of metals, wood, plastics, and glass. That's where your scrap goes.
Wait, okay, here's where it gets tricky, right? Because a steel beam is one thing, but a discarded electrical panel or an insulated cable is totally different. It's got other components, some potentially hazardous.
And that's the critical nuance. The moment that scrap qualifies as e-waste, and many cables, circuit boards, or panels with lead or cadmium do, it has to be segregated again.
So you can't just leave it with the general metal scrap.
No, you have to pull it out. It then falls under the e-waste rules of 2022. and has to go to a specialized SPCB-authorized e-waste recycler. You have to separate benign metal from potentially hazardous electrical scrap.
And once it's all separated, you can't just leave it in a pile. What are the storage rules?
Storage has to be contained and safe. It has to be within the project site, in covered, leak-proof containers.
I imagine that's especially important for electrical scrap to prevent things like oil leaks.
Exactly. You can't have residual coolants or oils contaminating the ground.
And for these big bulk generator sites, the infrastructure demands sound pretty significant.
They are. You need paved surfaces, proper storm drains, dust suppression systems, and the right fire safety gear. But here's the detail that trips people up, especially in cities.
Go on.
If your facility generates more than 5 tons of waste a day, you have to maintain a 500-meter buffer zone from any homes or water bodies.
500 meters in a dense city, that's almost impossible. How do contractors even manage that?
You've hit on the practical reality. They can't. So the only solution is extremely frequent removal.
So you never let it accumulate.
Exactly. You have authorized haulers coming in, sometimes weekly, to keep the on-site volume low and stay within the rules. You manage the risk by managing the turnover.
Let's talk about where all this scrap is supposed to end up. The goal is recycling and reuse, not a landfill.
Absolutely. The rules prioritize what they call in situ recycling, so crushing or processing materials right there on site if you can. Right now, for government projects, there's a goal of using 10 to 20% recycled material. But that's about to become a hard and fast rule for everyone.
This is where the ground is shifting. This isn't just about cleaning up anymore. It's about changing what you build with.
That's right. The game changer is the upcoming Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rules 2025.
Yeah.
They become effective on April 1st, 2026. And the biggest change is the introduction of mandatory extended producer responsibility, or EPR.
So this is no longer just a goal, it's a quota you have to meet. What are the actual numbers we're talking about?
For bulk generators, it's a direct mandate. You have to start using materials with at least 5% recycled C&D content by the 2026-27 financial year.
5%. Okay.
But it doesn't stay there. It
Yeah.
ramps up fast. By 2030-31, it climbs to a mandatory 25%.
25%. That's a quarter of your material inputs. That's a massive operational shift.
It is. It forces you to plan your material sourcing years in advance.
So how does the government track this? How do you verify that 25% of a building is actually made of recycled material?
Through verification and a digital trail. Generators will have to partner exclusively with SPCB-authorized recyclers. And crucially, all of this movement, from your site to the recycler and back into a new product, has to be tracked on the Central Pollution Control Board's online portal.
So it's all going digital?
Mandatory registration starts in 2026.
Yeah.
It makes the entire chain transparent and auditable.
Okay, let's pivot to safety. Handling tons of sharp metal and potentially live e-scrap is a whole different level of risk for workers.
It absolutely is. You've got structural codes like IS 4013 for safe dismantling, but you also have to think about the unique hazards of electrical scrap. Workers are dealing with sharp edges from cut copper and steel, heavy components, even residual electrical charges.
So the C&D rules themselves might not specify training, but I'm guessing other laws do.
Yes, the Building and Other Construction Workers Act from 1996 fills that gap. It mandates safety training for these specific hazards. So your training has to cover things like how to identify lead components in e-scrap, how to handle panels safely, and what PPE is needed to prevent cuts or shocks.
And finally, the part everyone dreads, the paper trail. Because if you can't prove you did it right, it's like you didn't do it at all.
That's it, exactly. And the main rule here is you must retain all records for 5 years. They have to be available for inspection at any time.
Can you break down the key documents for us? What are the absolute must-haves?
Sure. We can think of it in a few phases. First is the authorization phase. That's your application to the SPCB and the approval you get back. And your waste management plan is part of that.
Okay, that's pre-project. What about during the project?
That's your daily operational logs. You have to keep daily or weekly records of all scrap quantities, and it must be tracked with weighbridge slips for accuracy.
And the proof that it left your site legally.
Those are your transfer receipts. Every single invoice from every hauler and recycler. And for e-waste, you also have to use the specific manifest system to track it from end to end.
And last, the reporting.
Right. There's the annual report you have to file by June 30th every year.
Yeah.
And maybe most critical, the accident report.
Yeah.
If anything happens, you have 24 hours to file it. Your compliance is basically measured by your ability to produce that binder of documents on demand. So to sum it all up, if you're an electromechanical contractor, you're really juggling 3 big legal frameworks. The 2016 C&D rules are your baseline for all scrap. Then the 2022 e-waste rules add that extra layer of control for electrical parts. And now the 2025 EPR mandate is about to create a huge demand for recycled content. It's a full cycle management system.
And this is where it gets really interesting, and it's the thought we want to leave you with. That EPR mandate, the one that requires bulk generators to use up to 25% recycled content by 2030, is about to cause a massive spike in demand for high-quality, verified, recycled electromechanical materials. So here's the question you need to be thinking about right now. How effectively will the current system, the authorized recyclers and the CPCB's digital portal, actually scale up over the next few years to meet that mandatory demand? That potential gap between the legally required demand and the available supply is going to put immense pressure on this entire industry. You can find links to the full texts of these rules and guidelines on the CPCB website. And that's all for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.